We have a 24-hour news cycle going on right now that has a tendency to push news stories that we're outraged about onto the back burner until they're out of mind entirely. If we look all the way back to before Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez fired her chief of staff, Chakravarti, and fell out of prominence, we will remember this video that was put out that put a lot of people on edge.
The United States is running concentration camps on our southern border, and that is exactly what they are. They are concentration camps. And if that doesn't bother you, we can have, okay, whatever. I want to talk to the people that are concerned enough with humanity to say that we should not, that never again means something. And that the fact that concentration camps are now an institutionalized practice in the home of the free is extraordinarily disturbing. And we need to do something about it. This week, immigrant children were moved to the same internment camps where the Japanese were held in the earlier 20th century. And this is not even about a crisis this is not just about the immigrant communities being held in concentration camps being a crisis. This is a crisis for ourselves. This is a crisis on if America will remain America in its actual principles and values, or if we are losing to an authoritarian and fascist presidency.
That's right. It was just 2 short months ago that our republic was over because ICE had constructed working replicas of Auschwitz and Dachau right in the El Paso area. 2 months have passed, and this story was all but swallowed up by 2 shootings that turned into one, a debate and a movie about killing conservatives. But a local school board member has stepped up to remind us that enforcing the law is exactly the same as nearly exterminating an entire race of people based on bloodline. On Saturday, newly elected Madison School Board member Ali Muldrow posted a particularly provocative Facebook post. It reads as follows: I think that it's important to talk about what it's like for students who are arrested at school and end up in the Dane County Jail. We would not talk about the role of the Nazis and act as if the experiences people had in concentration camps is a separate issue. Police are the only people in our schools who can subject students to incarceration, and the students they arrest and ticket in our schools are disproportionately LGBTQ students, youth of color, impoverished youth, and students with disabilities. Well, it's been my experience that if anybody in Dane County would target one of the members of the groups that Muldrow mentioned, especially someone in law enforcement, he would quickly be chained to the back of a Prius and dragged for wrongthink. Muldrow goes on in the Facebook post to talk about the conditions in these juvenile facilities in a very exaggerated manner. I have archived the link in the description in case Ms. Muldrow privatizes her Facebook, and I highly recommend you go back and both read her entire Facebook timeline at the time that I archived, and especially the post that I'm referencing in this video. If you do look through the link in the description, you will see that Muldrow is actually a very well-known opponent of any sort of incarceration for juvenile offenders. But her statements, like Cortez's, are meant to draw a specific parallel equating mass genocide for anyone who happened to have the wrong last name in 1940s Germany to relatively mild punishment to correct young offenders before they have to face the real criminal justice system. As one would expect, what little local conservative media exists in Madison had a lot to say about this situation, and this parallels conservative Twitter during the AOC crisis. Muldrow, however, did not enjoy the advantage of shielding from more mainstream sources. Our local papers reported pretty fairly on the event, and both Madison Police Chief Mike Koval and Dane County Sheriff Dave Mahoney had commentary to the statement. According to the Wisconsin State Journal, Koval says it is unfortunate at a time when agencies like the Madison Police Department are bending over backwards to increase trust and to enter into meaningful dialogues that will advance collaboration and mutual respect, that a member of our school board would be inclined to use defamatory rhetoric to make that point. Attributions and inference born in hot-button buzzwords only create more barriers to our mutual goal of finding the best ways to educate our children. Sheriff Mahoney was much more concise in his commentary, stating, "It's unbelievable that anybody today would relate MPD or any other Dane County law enforcement to Nazis." He says such a reckless tone only serves to incite extremist reactions, and also said student resource officers are true servants, available to be mentors and role models. But that part of the comment was later deleted. These arguments are not generic, and they definitely didn't come from nowhere. The Madison area right now is embroiled in two major arguments involving law enforcement and schools. The Oregon School District is currently in a debate as to whether or not it is appropriate to keep an AR-15 on school grounds for access by the student resource officer in case of an emergency. More importantly, in Muldrow's district, a contract was just signed after a long debate in Dane County. In June, amid controversy, the Madison School District agreed to keep its resource officer program, keeping a police officer on site in Madison schools in case of an emergency. But the parallels between this story and the Cortez story extend even further with this. Both before and after the vote that allowed money to fund Border Patrol and ICE, Cortez doubled down on her association of the agents with Nazis and her congressional opponents as sympathizers to said Nazis. While Muldrow has not gone after any of her colleagues for their votes in this situation, the door has been left wide open for her to make the association with the Facebook post that she has just left on her Facebook page. And while Ali has not taken this post off of her Facebook page amid growing controversy from all sides, Democrat, Republican, Union, and otherwise, Muldrow has chosen to make an apology for the statement that she made, but it brings up the fact that we are still playing fast and loose with this kind of language. And one of the worst things that comes from the loose association by progressives to Nazism is the devaluing of the word. Now, this is no different when we talk about concentration camps, because a concentration camp is a specific evil incarnation, not anything that a progressive doesn't like. These juvenile facilities are far from the death camps of days past, and everything about them suggests that they are more designed to get the incarcerated kids in and out and back to society, which is a stark contrast to the German camps where people went to never be seen again. The events of the Holocaust and the atrocities that are associated with Germany in World War II are horrific events that we need to learn from to keep from repeating them. But this loose use of exaggerated language surrounding the terms turns them into harmless jokes that are aimed at the left. And once we are there, racists, white supremacists, and Nazis go from the great villains of history to anyone who wins an argument with a leftist. What do you think about Ali Muldrow's statement, and how do you think it draws parallel to Alexandria Ocasio's statements about Border Patrol? I always welcome a thoughtful and positive discussion in the comments section below, and especially over on Twitter. That is at EdsBlog Twitter with a 1 in place of the I. Thanks as always for listening to this show and supporting this channel. And remember, never take the words of bloggers, podcasters, or journalists as gospel. Find all the facts and draw your own conclusions. Take care.
You're always there for me in my best